But now we got to make the best of it. Go to the gym with a Frank gang and such. Yeah, so let's do that.
For Frank, it's gonna get a whole scoop.
I'm really sleeping right now.
Medium, is this safe?
I don't know.
Scoop to Frank?
I don't know. We should give. I don't know.
If I gotta go crazy though.
Because in New York, I kind of bumped into one of my favorite YouTubers, a YouTuber I follow since almost 6 years.
We're talking about one of the teachers that we really like, McKenna, and this is just my assumptions. I could be just me bullshitting, but in my opinion, he's a fully enlightened guy. But I also think you can read between the lines in his book. He's a big ego. One can be enlightened and still have a big ego, but the place that he's coming from is different from just being trapped in the ego. So you can, I guess, people like him can switch back and forth. He could turn on and off his ego. Or maybe in this morning he feels like God mind, non-dual, no self, completely no self. And then maybe at night he goes to the bar and fucks some hoes. So maybe he has a huge ego and an even bigger emptiness around it. I kind of like the state of half enlightenment. In the fitness community, they have this term called half natty. Whatever that means, right? So I think there's some people, especially a lot of Western minds that are super intellectual, really deep into theories.
Like we said, Carl Jung, right, before?
Carl Jung is probably a good example of that. But they have a little bit of meditation training and some non-dual experiences, but they're not fully embodied in it. And even if they want to be fully embodied in it, they can't just switch track like McKenna. So somebody who's half enlightened, I kind of like that. Yeah. Carl Jung, he went to India because he's so interested in the Indian mysticism and stuff like that. And then he went to visit all the temples and all the holy places. And then Ramana, every spiritual guru consider him to be like Michael Jordan, fully enlightened.
Yeah.
He just sits in his diaper all day. That people come to him from all over the world, and then one guy told Carl Jung, you should go visit this guy. He will tell you who you are. People tell him if you go to him, if you just look in his eyes, talk to him, you'll find out, because isn't what you're studying? Is the psychology is find out who you are? And then Carl Jung got scared.
I think he visited.
And then Romana also waited for him too.
Okay.
But he's too scared.
Carl Jung was too scared.
Carl Jung was too scared. He didn't go.
Oh shit!
Yeah, well, of course, Romana is not intellectual. He doesn't do philosophy, but he's totally embodied with the wisdom.
Hi, Mom.
So the ego doesn't really exist, at least not the way that you usually think it does. The ego is just another thought with no one behind it that arises and passes along with infinite number of other thoughts in the universe. So you can't really get rid of the ego, you can only observe it and deconstruct it, while still let it does its own creature-like behaviors. And you just watch the Frank creature does his thing from the distance. Love it, talk to it, love the ego to death. It's like a little baby that just needs love and attention. The next level transformation is here.
Hello? That's for you.
So most people, when they think of the word ego,
they like to think of somebody who is boastful, who's cocky, who's arrogant, who thinks highly of himself. But that is not the deepest structure of the ego. That's not even the definition of ego. I think the definition of ego is just obsessive thoughts and behaviors that are sort of locked or being gripped, you know. So the ego is just a frozen thought, a solidified thought of feelings.
Reach for the cock!
So what are the thought patterns that are getting locked right now in this moment in time, whatever it is that you're doing? That's what Xi Yin calls the meta program. The program, the biggest program that's controlling you right now. The most dominant one. And that is your ego. So it's not about the thought, the content of the thought. The content of the thought could be, hey, I'm gonna protect my crops. Hey, I'm gonna wash my hands 20 times a day. Hey, I'm the best rapper in the world. It's a pussy in the dick. It's the intensity or the degree of the locking or the gripping that counts for or corresponds to the size of the ego. Somebody who doesn't think about himself at all, who isn't arrogant at all, is still be an egomaniac. Let me give you an example. A farmer. People think of the farmer as somebody who is very selfless. You know, he grows the crops and he works hard and he obeys the rules and does his job in society, and he keeps it down low. You know, he doesn't try to show off his crops or his muscles on Instagram. But still, what if you destroy his crop? He will freak out because his quote-unquote ego will be bruised. And his ego, in this sense, is the obsessive or the locking of awareness on his crop, on his rice field. And he somehow identified. So again, you can be the guy who always says that he's humble. You know, he's identified with being this humble and this selfless, compassionate guy, but he could be an egomaniac, as much of an egomaniac as the guy who is the celebrity who thinks he's the shit and that he's better than everybody else.
Oh, we're making just a recording.
Those are just two different thoughts that are being locked. The way to sort of become less egoic or egoistic is not just to change your thoughts. Again, it's not just change your math. It's to unlock those thoughts and feelings, to make them loose, to make them flow, so they flow alongside reality, which is always changing. Use your Vipassana laser to unlock the locked. So mindfulness is nothing more than breaking mental phenomena down to smaller and smaller components until they start to flow. And the reason why I said that almost everyone is an egomaniac is not because everyone is self-absorbed or selfish. It's because everyone is locked in something. But the lock of the self, locking the thought of the self, is the most problematic and the toughest grip of your awareness there is. The mother of all locks.